Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritav Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So we will chant from verse 277 up to 281. Swatmanye vasada sthitva mano nashyati yoginaha vasananam kshayaschataha swadhyasapanayam kuru tamodvabhyam rajas sattvat sattvam shuddhena nashyati tasmat sattvam avashtabhya Swadhyasapanayam kuru prarabdham pushyati vapuhu iti nishchitya nischalaha dhairyamalamvya yatnena swadhyasapanayam kuru naham jiva param brahmeti etadvyavritti purvakam Vasana vegata prapta swadhyasapanayam kuru Shrutya yuktya svanubhutya Jnatva sarvatmyamatmanaha Kvachidabhasata prapta swadhyasapanayam kuru. So the Jnana sadhana that is pointed out is Shrutya Yuktya Svanubhutya. With Shrutya here means by listening, Yuktya is by, Yukti literally is logic, Yuktya means mananam, by reflecting, and Svanubhutya here indicates Nididhyasan, contemplating. Shrutya, Yuktya, Svanubhutya. With these three, it is said Jnatva. We will know the truth only through these three. As we saw in the morning, if the person is prepared, Uttamadhikari, then merely by listening one will know. Jnatva sarvatmyam atmanaha. What will one know? That the self in me is the self in all. Kvachid abhasata praptaha swadhyasapanayam kuru. Even little bit, kvachid abhasata, even a little bit of false identification, if it is there with the sadhana of Jnana sadhana, remove that. There cannot be even a trace of ignorance. We can't say now, okay, Swamiji, I am 80% realized, कलयुग के लिए इतना ठीक है, 20% तो चलता है ना, व्यवहार में कुछ तो चाहिए, थोड़ा तो मोह होना चाहिए, otherwise we will become fully disinterested. No, kvachid abhasata prapta, even a little bit, if it is there, false identification, remove it. Swadhyasapanayam kuru. Now we will see the three Jnana sadhanas. So what is Shravanam? Okay, listening, that is a simple meaning. Any other? So listen to Mahavakya. from the Guru. Okay. So we have to see the deeper meaning of this. What is the meaning of Shravanam? So Shravanam has, as per Vedant Sar, if we go, it is defined very beautifully. Simple meaning of Shravanam is, no technical definition I am saying, Tatparya Avadharanam. It is determining the essence. Tatparya. What is the essence? Is what we have to determine. Simple meaning is Tatparya Avadharanam. Because sometimes what happens, we listen to the whole talk, but we still don't determine the essence. We read a whole book, still we don't know what is the essence. Suppose I ask you Bhagavad Gita. Now you are studying the Gita, some of you in the classes. What is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita? What will you say? कर्म योग, ब्रह्म सत्यम जगत मिथ्या, वो उसमें लिखा है गीता में. Essence of life is what? I can say enjoyment is also essence of life. How to live life, how to do karma, get to do dharma, find the way to moksha. Manual for life. One can't hear you. Ishwar Arpan Buddhi. So see, what you are saying, no doubt, it is one of the some of the important aspects of the Gita. But tell me, Gita is a Dharma Shastra or Moksha Shastra? If it was only Dharma Shastra, Bhagwan would not have given highest Atma Jnana there. Gita's essence is, it is a Moksha Shastra. But majority will think of Gita only as a Dharma Shastra, and they will take only that much Karma Yoga, learning out of the karma, how to live in the world, how to be detached. Those are all means. The main purpose of the Gita is to tell Arjun his Swarupa Dharma, who he is truly, which is what destroyed his delusion. When Bhagavan began his Upadesh in the second chapter, 11th verse, what did he say? Did he give pep talk to Arjun? Come on Arjun, you can do it. It's there in you. You have already defeated Kauravas earlier. You can do it. Give up your weakness. Get up. Do your duty. Yay! Nothing. Straight away he started with what? No, not Sita Prajna. Ashocyanan vashochastvam prajnavadancha bhashase gata suncha nanu shochanti pandita. He started with that, saying that you are grieving for those who don't deserve to be grieved for. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. Why they don't grieve for the living? Because unka prarabdha hai. What they will have to go through, they will go through. I can do whatever I can do. Beyond that, I can't do anything. And they don't grieve for the dead. Why? Because jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. That which is born will die. And that which is dying will be reborn. Tasmada pariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. That is from Jiva standpoint. And from Atma standpoint, najayate mriyate va kadachit. There is neither birth nor there is death. So the essence of the Gita, if you see first Upadesha of Bhagavan, is Achocyanan Vachochastvam. You see the last Upadesha of Bhagavan, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Aham tva sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami. He says, I will liberate you from all the sins. And what is the basic sin? The original sin is what? Not knowing who am I. Ignorance of the self leads to false identification. That is the original sin. So Gita is a moksha shastra. Now if I have done Shravanam properly, then I will say Gita is a moksha shastra. The essence of the Gita is to realize the truth. To know who am I. That's the essence of the Gita. Karma Yoga, detachment, Ishwararpana Buddhi, manual of life, all these are right in their own place. They are preparatory means. The main teaching of the Gita is what? It is to realize the truth. Swarupa Dharma. In this way, one has to identify what is the essence of the entire Veda. Some people say to go to Swarga is the essence of the entire Veda. Some people will say to attain Punya is the essence of the Veda. To live a dharmic life is the essence of Veda. But what is the essence of entire Vedic knowledge? You are infinite consciousness. Tat Tvam Asi. That is the essence. So to determine the essence is called Shravanam. So I am going to share here the full definition. See, for you to understand simply I have given this much, the Tatparya Avadharanam. The full definition given by Swami Sadanandji is what? So he says here that Shadvidha Lingaihi, using 6 characteristics, we determine what is the essence. I will come to those 6 characteristics, what they are. But he says, Shadvidha Lingaihi Ashesha Vedanta Nam Advitiya Vastuni Tatparya Avadharanam. This is called Shravanam, meaning to determine Ashesha Vedantanam, the whole Vedanta. What is the essence? Advitiya Vastuni. That Advitiya Vastu, which is the self, to determine that the whole essence of the Vedic knowledge is Vedanta, which is telling me about my true consciousness as my nature. That using the Shadvidha Linga, that is called as Shravanam. So suppose we determine the whole, so you listen to one whole lecture. Today morning's lecture, let us say, we had. What is the essence of that whole lecture? If somebody has to evaluate, then what did I grasp out of it? That is my grasp. But suppose I say the essence of the lecture is, okay, 2 verses were covered in that, essence of this verse is this, essence of this verse is this. Prarabdham pushyati vapuhu. Now that is the essence of this verse, that prarabdha is taken care of, body is taken care of by prarabdha. So I should not bother much, I should keep focus on my sadhana, on my goal. And what was that earlier verse, the verse after that? It said, Naham Jiva Param Brahmeti. I am Param Brahma. So no matter how much vasana pressure will push me, I should keep on putting the effort to realize the truth. That is the essence. Now if that is not done, the essence is not determined, and one simply remembers some joke. Swamiji said, Adhikari, that Manda Adhikari is like the stalk of a plantain tree. That Adhikari, he will destroy the Guru only. That is not the essence of the whole talk. But some joke, some humor, something one remembers, but the main point one has forgotten. Then what has happened? Shravanam didn't happen properly. Somebody went to a lecture, one man, he went to the lecture. And when the lecture got over, he came back. So the wife asked him, what was the topic of the lecture? The man said, the speaker didn't announce the topic only. Some people go to the lecture for what, कान पवित्र करने के लिए. कान पवित्र करने के लिए थोड़ी हम आए हैं. हम क्यों आए? मन पवित्र करने के लिए, आत्म तत्व को जानने के लिए. So what is the essence? I have to find out that and grasp that. Then I have done Shravanam properly. Otherwise, words fall on the ears and one keeps nodding also. And after some time, one becomes what we call professional listener. Professional listener meaning every talk of Vedanta, they will be there. You can find them. But if you ask them what is the essence of Vedanta, they may even say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahma Ivanapara. But tell them to explain how I am not this Jiva, how I am Brahman, they will get confused. Or they may not have enough clarity. Why? They may not have heard properly, listened, and determined the essence, grasped the knowledge thoroughly. So now what are the ways? Here it is said, Shad Vidhalingaihi, with 6 characteristics to determine the whole essence of Advaita Vedanta is that my nature is consciousness. So what are these 6? 1 is Upakrama. Upakrama is what is in the beginning. 2, Upasamhara, what is in the end. Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa. So Abhyasa here is not practice. Abhyasa here is repetition. What is repeated again and again? Abhyasa. Then Apurvata. What is the uniqueness? Or you say originality. Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Apurvata. Then there is Phala. What is the Phala? This thing is wrong, 1 minute. The numbering is wrong. Upakrama, Upasamhara is 1, okay? Upakrama, Upasamhara is one thing. Then Abhyasa, Apurvata. Then Phala. Phala is the result. What is the result? Then 5th one is Arthavada, is what is praised or what is the eulogy. What has been repeatedly glorified, praised. And last is the Upakrama, Upasamhara, Apurvata, Phala, Arthavada, and that is the demonstration. One minute. One minute. It will not be Upatti, it will be Patti. Upatti only, yeah. They also have the Itya Dvitiya Vastu Prashansanam. Yeah. Prashansanam. Upapatti, sorry. Upapatti, not Upatti. That is Arthavada Upapatti. Upapatti it is, not Upatti. Upapatti is demonstration. So, these are the things which one has to apply. to determine what is the essence, what is said in the beginning and the end, what is repeated, what is praised, what is the result, what is glorified, and what is demonstrated. You can do this for any grantha, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, Gita, any book. Shadvita Linga you can apply. Then one will understand that this is the essence. See, for us, the Vedic masters like Shankaracharya ji and so many other masters, they have told us what is the essence of Advaita, of the Veda. Suppose you and I have to study by ourselves and then determine what is the essence, then what will we do? How to determine? Then these are the 6 things we have to apply. Then we will understand, okay, what is the means and what is the goal? What is the essence? So this is called as Shravanam. So when we listen to the teacher, we grasp of the Advaitic knowledge is such. We may say Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha. These 3 is the essence of Vedanta, no doubt. In that, any one cannot be missing. Brahma Satyam, very good. But then Jagat also appears Satyam, then there is a problem. Jagat has to be understood as Mithya. And Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha. I am one with that Brahman. Otherwise one will think, okay, some Brahman is Satyam and the Jagat is Mithya. What has got to do with me? No, I am that Brahman. I am not the Jiva. That is the essence of Vedanta. Now, when we listen to the teacher with a prepared mind on this, so when we have known already, even then we keep doing our sadhana of Karma Yoga, Upasana, but when we listen to Vedanta in the class, we have to listen with that fresh mind as though we are listening for the first time. And again introspect, do I feel this? When the mind is ready, instant will be the realization. But if one is sitting and saying, हाँ ये तो सुना हुआ है, आज कुछ नया नहीं बोला, then I am not searching the truth. What I am searching for? Some new expression of the truth, some new logic, some new story. Then I am stuck in that. So that's why Shravanam has to be done with full alertness. Kuru avadhanam mahadavadhanam, Shankaracharya says in the Bhaja Govindam. So here is a very nice video on listening, how to improve our listening. This is a video by Julian Treasure. It's a nice TED talk that he gave. And he gives good suggestions and certain exercises that can be practiced to improve our listening in the day-to-day life.
We are losing our listening. We spend roughly 60% of our communication time listening, but we're not very good at it. We retain just 25% of what we hear. Now, not you, not this talk, but that is generally true. Let's define listening as making meaning from sound. It's a mental process, and it's a process of extraction. We use some pretty cool techniques to do this. One of them is pattern recognition. So in a cocktail party like this, if I say, David, Sarah, pay attention, some of you just sat up. We recognize patterns to distinguish noise from signal, and especially our name. Differencing is another technique we use. If I left this pink noise on for more than a couple of minutes, you would literally cease to hear it. We listen to differences, we discount sounds that remain the same. And then there is a whole range of filters. These filters take us from all sound down to what we pay attention to. Most people are entirely unconscious of these filters, but they actually create our reality in a way because they tell us what we're paying attention to right now. I'll give you one example of that. Intention is very important in sound, in listening. When I married my wife, I promised her that I would listen to her every day as if for the first time. Now that's something I fall short of on a daily basis. But it's a great intention to have in a relationship. But that's not all. Sound places us in space and in time. If you close your eyes right now in this room, you're aware of the size of the room from the reverberation and the bouncing of the sound off the surfaces. And you're aware of how many people are around you because of the micro noises you're receiving. And sound places us in time as well, because sound always has time embedded in it. In fact, I would suggest that our listening is the main way that we experience the flow of time from past to future. So, sonority is time and meaning, a great quote. I said at the beginning, we're losing our listening. Why did I say that? Well, there are a lot of reasons for this. First of all, we invented ways of recording. First, writing, then audio recording, and now video recording as well. The premium on accurate and careful listening has simply disappeared. Secondly, the world is now so noisy, with this cacophony going on visually and auditorily, it's just hard to listen. It's tiring to listen. Many people take refuge in headphones, but they turn big public spaces like this, shared soundscapes, into millions of tiny little personal sound bubbles. In this scenario, nobody's listening to anybody. We're becoming impatient. We don't want oratory anymore, we want sound bites. And the art of conversation is being replaced, dangerously, I think, by personal broadcasting. I don't know how much listening there is in this conversation, which is sadly very common, especially in the UK. We're becoming desensitized. Our media have to scream at us with these kind of headlines in order to get our attention. And that means it's harder for us to pay attention to the quiet, the subtle, the understated. This is a serious problem that we're losing our listening. This is not trivial, because listening is our access to understanding. Conscious listening always creates understanding, and only without conscious listening can these things happen. A world where we don't listen to each other at all is a very scary place indeed. So I'd like to share with you 5 simple exercises, tools you can take away with you to improve your own conscious listening. Would you like that? Good. The first one is silence. Just 3 minutes a day of silence is a wonderful exercise to reset your ears and to recalibrate so that you can hear the quiet again. If you can't get absolute silence, go for quiet. That's absolutely fine. Second, I call this the mixer. So even if you're in a noisy environment like this, and we all spend a lot of time in places like this, listen in the coffee bar to how many channels of sound can I hear? How many individual channels in that mix am I listening to? You can do it in a beautiful place as well, like a lake. How many birds am I hearing? Where are they? Where are those ripples? It's a great exercise for improving the quality of your listening. Third, this exercise I call savoring, and this is a beautiful exercise. It's about enjoying mundane sounds. This, for example, is my tumble dryer. It's a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I love it. Or just try this one on for size. Wow! So mundane sounds can be really interesting if you pay attention. I call that the hidden choir. It's around us all the time. The next exercise is probably the most important of all of these. If you just take one thing away, this is listening positions. The idea that you can move your listening position to what's appropriate to what you're listening to. This is playing with those filters. You remember I gave you those filters at the beginning? It's starting to play with them as levers, to get conscious about them and to move to different places. These are just some of the listening positions or scales of listening positions that you can use. There are many. Have fun with that. It's very exciting. And finally, an acronym. You can use this in listening, in communication. If you're in any one of those roles, and I think that probably is everybody who's listening to this talk. The acronym is RASA, which is the Sanskrit word for juice or essence. And rasa stands for receive, which means pay attention to the person, appreciate, making little noises like, oh, okay. Summarize, the word so is very important in communication, and ask questions afterwards. Now, sound is my passion, it's my life. I wrote a whole book about it, so I live to listen. That's too much to ask for most people. But I believe that every human being needs to listen consciously in order to live fully. connected in space and in time to the physical world around us, connected in understanding to each other, not to mention spiritually connected, because every spiritual path I know of has listening and contemplation at its heart. That's why we need to teach listening in our schools as a skill. Why is it not taught? It's crazy. And if we can teach listening in our schools, we can take our listening off that slippery slope to that dangerous, scary world that I talked about and move it to a place where everybody is consciously listening all the time, or at least capable of doing that. Now, I don't know how to do that, but this is TED. And I think the TED community is capable of anything. So I invite you to connect with me, connect with each other, take this mission out, and let's get listening taught in schools and transform the world in one generation to a conscious listening world, a world of connection, a world of understanding, and a world of peace. Thank you for listening to me today.
So what are the 5 techniques he said? Don't see your book. If you did your listening, you will remember. Bolo. What are the 5 techniques to improve? 3 minutes of silence. Second, mixer. So many sounds which are there, identify. Third, mundane sounds. Enjoy the mundane sounds. Pay attention and enjoy. Fourth, listening positions. Active, passive, empathetic, critical, reductive, expansive. And last, what is rasa? He said it wrongly. At least you say properly, rasa. Receive, appreciate, summarize and ask. Easy not to apply these 5. In daily life, if we apply these, listening will improve quite a lot. And so this is Shravanam. When we listen with full attention. You know, Tapovan Maharaj, Gurudev's guru, he was so he was a very strict disciplinarian and also a very alert master. So one day he was conducting a talk. It's early morning, around 6 o'clock. 4 or 5 students are sitting in front of him and he's doing the talk. And one crow made a sound on the branch of a tree. And one student looked up. And Tapovan Maharaj said, Purnamada Purnamidam. He said, I can't teach such inalert students. Imagine what level of ekagrata is required to listen to Vedanta. If Tapovan Maharaj had to teach today and teach us, he wouldn't be able to complete one class. And he put a condition on Gurudev also. Na? He said, I will teach only once. And I will not repeat. And if you don't answer when I ask you a question, you will have to leave. Imagine, Gurudev went all the way walking from Rishikesh to Uttarkashi. And then Tapovan Maharaj said, do you have the letter of recommendation? He said, what recommendation? He said, how do I know Shivanandji sent you? You bring the letter. Again he went down. And again he came back with that letter. And then Tapovan Maharaj is putting this condition. What you and I would have said? A condition you should have told before only. I would not have come back. But Gurudev lived there. And he used to listen. And you know how he was listening? So can you guess in which language Tapovan Maharaj taught Gurudev? Devanagari is not a language. Devanagari is a script. Hindi. Both of them are Malayalis, both of them know English, but there are other students also who have come to Tapovan Maharaj. So Tapovan Maharaj taught Gurudev in Hindi That's why you will find Gurudev using Hindi sometimes in between his talk. Suddenly say, Kaunteya, he'll say, Kuntika bete, like that he will say. Why? Because he learnt in Hindi. So he's listening in Hindi and he's writing notes in English. You try doing that once. English talk, Hindi notes. Hindi talk, English notes. Swamiji, English talk, English notes, only we are not able to write properly. Hindi talk, English notes. How much must be his listening? And Tapon Maharaj would ask, Gurudev would ask Tapon Maharaj so many questions that till he doesn't understand that topic properly, he won't allow Tapon Maharaj to move forward. So if Tapon Maharaj put a condition, Gurudev also was very smart. He said, I won't allow him to move forward till my doubts are cleared. Once the doubts are cleared, then anytime anybody asks, one can reply. So this is listening, and how much attention earlier the students used to pay to listening. So as a Vedantic student, that should be our focus. When we listen, full attention, we are listening. Then we are not thinking at that time of what is my son doing, they must have eaten food or not, 7:30 ho gaye, maid would have cooked or not. And nowadays people are listening with phone, side by side they are. And online to finished. Vedant one is studying, cooking side by side. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, and here chhauk dal rahe usme. I don't know how you take the online class, but if you take the online class, you should tell everybody, put the video on and sit in one place and listen and interact. Study class is supposed to be discussion and interaction, not a lecture class. If they put their videos off, then we don't know what they are doing. Somebody lying down also and happily listening to Vedant. Somebody is in their banyan. Somebody is just, cooking. Somebody is moving around. Somebody is driving. Kuch bhi hota hai online mein. Vedant is not to be learnt like that. Vedant has to be learnt with single pointedness. And so, Shravanam, that is the first sadhana. Now, when we listen to the teacher, we are listening to the Mahavakya about the oneness of the Jiva and Brahman. Now, obviously, there will be questions, there will be doubts that will arise. So, when the doubts arise, then the second sadhana is Mananam. Mananam means reflection. Literally, man means to think. Man manute means to think. Here it is using the logic, scriptural logic. So what do you understand by reflection? In general, you tell me. Analyze. Anything else? Analysis when one does, okay, why it is said, we find reasoning and all that. Anything else we do in reflection? But that essence to we determined, in Shravanam already we determined the essence. Now what to do with that? How pakka kaise karenge? By clearing the doubts. By reading again, तो फिर तो पठन हो गया ना. मनन कहाँ हुआ? Manan means, so again I'll come to the definition of Manan. The understanding has to be very clear. So in simple words, how we had done for Shravan, like that for Manan, the simple explanation of Manan is Yukti bihi anuchintanam. That is called as Mananam. Yukti bihi anuchintanam. Using logic. If it is said happiness is not in the world outside, what is the logic? To reflect upon that logic, Yuktibihi. Anuchintanam. Chintanam means to think, reflect. Anu means again and again, or all round thinking. Using scriptural logic to come to a certain intellectual conviction is the result of this is intellectual conviction. That is the result of mananam. Shravanam, the result is I have known the truth. I have come to understand the truth. I have come to become aware of the truth. I have determined the essence. This is the truth. Now there will be doubts. So the doubts have to be clarified using logic by continuously reflecting, so that we are intellectually convinced that yes, what is said, this is the truth. Because it will clash with my existing knowledge. My knowledge says happiness is in the world outside. Vedanta is saying happiness is not in the world outside. So what is the logic for that? Why does Vedanta say happiness is not in the world outside? Today afternoon you ate jalebi. Jalebi gave happiness or not? So then why Vedanta saying happiness is not in the world outside? Huh? You will have stomach ache. Chalega, happiness ka price is stomach ache. I will pay, but happiness is there, na, in the jalebi. It is temporary, it is not permanent. Vedanta is saying there is no happiness there. Temporary, permanent, to dusri baat hai. Happiness only is not there. I am projecting my happiness on that. So if somebody likes, now today what was there in the afternoon? Bengan. Bengan and jalebi. Superb combination, no? If you like bengan, you lick the finger and say, "Wow, wow, bengan ka bharta or bhara hua bengan, oh, it was so nice." And somebody looking at you and say, "Arey, ye bengan kha." Yeah, pathetic it is. You know, Gurudev did not like bengan. There is one nice video of him. He's saying, when he's talking about raga and dvesha, he's saying, that which you don't like will chase you and find you where you are not. There it will come to you. He doesn't like bengan, so people, they don't know that he doesn't like it. But he goes to America and this one lady there, she calls him for the bhiksha, and what does she serve him? Eggplant, bengan. And she's proudly saying, "Swamiji, this is not available here. My son who is working in this airlines, he brought it from Delhi all the way there." And Gurudev says, "This is my prarabdha." Bengan was flown from Delhi and come here just because I don't like it now. Now where is happiness there? Somebody likes bengan and is so enjoying, and somebody doesn't like bengan. So what logic scripture says? If scripture is saying happiness is not in the world outside, logic is what? It is saying if happiness was in the world outside, the same object will give happiness to all. That is one logic. Second logic, same object to same person will give same experience at all times. But that doesn't happen. Sometimes that person enjoys the jalebi, sometimes the person doesn't enjoy. Suppose you come to know suddenly while you are eating jalebi that your son met with an accident. Now what will happen? Jalebi is same, no? It is still sweet, it is still nice, but will I feel happiness? Now my mind will be disturbed. Yare, what happened to my son? That time if somebody says, "Jalebi khalo," one will say, "What? How insensitive you are. My son met an accident." So if happiness was in the world outside, then we would have experienced happiness commonly. So now that is called yukti, logic given in the scripture, and then anubhuti. So using scriptural logic and experiential proof, one should get this conviction. So this is why it is very important to have this clarity that in the stage of mananam, we are to use logic and do our reflection. Puja Gurudev, he started the study class for this purpose. Why did he start the study class? Because when one is listening, in Vedanta, in a Subhashita, it is said very nicely, 25% of the learning happens with the teacher. Acharyat padam adatte. Padam shishya swamedhaya. 20% by the student's own reflection. Padam sabrahmacharibhya. 25% with discussion with the co-seekers, and 25% in time and experience. Padam kala kramena cha. So, in general, knowledge will arise in these 4 steps, which is why it is important to discuss. In a study class, you should not be doing Shravanam. In a study class, what should you do? Discuss, bring out the logic, bring out the doubts, examine it from the non-believer standpoint. Don't examine it with the believer standpoint alone. Examine it from non-believer standpoint, then you will know very clearly. Because if you convince a non-believer, you can convince anybody. Gurudev, the way he speaks in the talks, etc., he will keep the non-believer in mind and then he will address. And further, so at one level you examine it like a non-believer. Then the next level you go as a believer. Go deep into that. Find out all the different nuances of that. All different possibilities. That is called mananam. Otherwise what happens? In the study class also one is only listening. One person is talking, everybody is listening. It is very convenient escape. The mind doesn't reflect. And you know what will happen? This intellectual conviction will not happen then. And that's why people say, हम तो बहुत साल से जा रहे हैं study class में, कुछ नहीं हुआ और नहीं होगा. If you don't participate, nothing will happen. You only listen and come, कान पवित्र हो जाएंगे. But reflection has not happened. One should ask the doubts. For that one should think. Gurudev would say only 2 people have no doubts. One person is such a dumb fellow who doesn't know how to think, so he doesn't have doubts. And other person is a Jivan Mukta who has experience, so he also doesn't have doubt. If you are either of these 2 people, then you have no doubts. But if you are neither of these 2 people, then doubt should be there. How can there be no doubt? You know, if you read Kindle Life, at the end of Kindle Life, Gurudev has given how to read. You know, the study scheme is given and which book, how many pages. And then he has also given how to read, how to study. So he says you reflect and you maintain a book and you read, and as you read and then you sit and do your reflection, you will have doubts, you write those doubts. Then you ask the sevak in the next class. Study group method is supposed to be that a portion is allotted, you study, reflect upon it, come with your doubts, ask the sevak. Sevak is supposed to clear the doubts. And he says that, why he says you write down the book, the doubts. He also says that as you proceed, you may find some of the doubts will also get cleared, the text itself will clear it. And you write the doubt, you express the doubt very clearly. Otherwise some people, they don't have clarity about the doubt also. So we write, that is mananam. When using logic, my doubt is cleared, then it will lead to intellectual conviction. And once you are intellectually convinced, then it's only a matter of applying in practice. Tell me one thing, do we live by our intellectual conviction or we live by our knowledge? We live by conviction or by knowledge? Pakka. So now that is important. We live by our conviction, we don't live by our knowledge. So if my conviction is wrong, then what happens? My action will be wrong. Simplest example, smoking is injurious to health. Knowledge is there, no? Everybody has. But why somebody is not dropping smoking? Because the intellectual conviction has not come. Don't say that they have the information. Just because I have information doesn't mean my intellectual conviction has changed. With all the knowledge and information, I may still hold on to my wrong conviction, my wrong notions. Why? Because what we saw in the evening Q&A session. I am attached to some pleasure that it gives. Now I don't want to let go of that. So I will hold on to that wrong notion. So my intellectual conviction has not changed. The moment intellectual conviction changes, then the journey is very fast. So much time we take only for intellectual conviction to change. Which is why when people say, I am intellectually convinced but I am not experiencing. If you are intellectually convinced, the experience will come very quickly. It's only a matter of nididhyasana. That is the third step that we will see. But if I am not intellectually convinced, then there is wrong knowledge which is there. It is only an appearance of intellectual conviction, but there's deep down there is wrong knowledge. Now that wrong knowledge doesn't allow me to live properly. So that is called the appearance of conviction or the illusion of conviction. I don't have real conviction. I am only having an illusion of conviction. If I had real conviction, I would not have any two thoughts about it. There will not be any contrary action also. Like simple example, fire is hot. Intellectually you are convinced also. Will you still put the hand in fire? I am intellectually convinced, but I still feel like putting. Jaake dalo. Does anybody do that? No. Intellectually convinced also, experience also is there. So there is no question of putting the hand there. But with the other things, that doesn't happen. I still hold on to the wrong notions. All of us know that forgiveness is good for us to free ourselves. Forgiveness is not for other person. Still, are we able to forgive? Why? Because our ego doesn't allow me to live by that conviction. My conviction still is, if I forgive, I will be taken for granted. So I will not forgive. Now I am living with that. So I will not forgive. Hold on to the grudge. One lady came to one Swamiji. 20 minutes she went on and on and on about her mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is like this, my mother-in-law is like that, I'm not happy and she doesn't treat me properly, this, that. 20 minutes she went on. Then that Swamiji also got very, So he said, Amma, where is your mother-in-law now? She died 20 years ago. Are she died 20 years ago. Why are you reliving that now? But this lady in her mind, she is replaying that whole thing again and again and again. She has not moved on. The mother-in-law is gone. Unka punarjanma bhi ho gaya hoga kahin pe. She is still holding on to that. Our mind is like that. It will just hold on to all the wrong notion, and how much ever situation has changed, right knowledge has come, one will not apply. So that's why I need to change the intellectual conviction. Forgiveness. She did something, whatever she did, now forgive and move on. But no. Like that, so many examples one can see where I know what is right, but I don't land up doing. Dhritarashtra knows that he is supposed to do dharma and nyaya. Just give the kingdom that belongs to Pandavas to them. Actually, the whole kingdom belongs to them. He divided into half. He gave Pandavas the barren portion and he kept the good one, Hastinapur. He gave the Khanda Prastha to them. Chalo, at least that portion you give it back to them after the game of dice and the exile period is over. But no, everybody tries to convince him. Vidurji has gone, Krishna Bhagwan has gone, Bhishma, everybody goes. And he listens to everybody, and at the end of Vidur Niti, he tells Dhritarashtra, tells Vidurji, Vidur, what you are saying is all right. I know this is my duty as a king. I know I should give back the kingdom to Pandavas. But my attachment to the son, what can I do? I am very attached to my son. Pura Vidur Niti ke baad he says, I can't do anything. That is what happens. If I don't use logic properly, if I don't convince myself, if I don't change my intellectual conviction, Some attachment will be there, I will hold on to that. Then no matter how much I reflect, nothing will happen. So the definition of mananam is this. Vedanta anuguna yuktibhi anavaratam anuchintanam. This is the full definition of Vedanta. Shrutasya advitiya vastuno Vedanta anuguna yuktibhi anavaratam anuchintanam. See, I am giving you short form first so that you just understand the two words like Tatparya Avadharanam, Yuktibhi Anuchintanam. Now this is the full Shrutasya, whatever I have heard about Advitiya Vastu, about the infinite consciousness. Vedanta Anuguna Yuktibhi. The logic has to be as per Vedantic logic. Don't use any logic of anybody. Because logic is a double-edged sword. You can prove something, disprove something. Just because it is logical doesn't mean it is right. Simple example. I love the professor. Professor loves his daughter. I love professor's daughter. Very logical. A is equal to B, B is equal to C, so C is equal to A. Logic. But that is not true. So logic to anything I can use. Yukti bihi, Vedanta anuguna yukti bihi. As per Vedantic logic, why is Vedanta saying you are not the body, mind, intellect? So Vedantic logic is Drig, Drishya, Vivek. What is seen is different from the seer. Vedanta logic is Panchakosha Vivek. Vedanta logic is Avasthatraya Sakshi. Like that, what is the logic of Vedanta? I have to use that Jada Chetan Vivek. Then I will understand. If I simply use any logic, I may land up in some wrong conclusion. So Vedanta Anuguna Yukti Bhihi Anavaratam. Anavaratam means continuous. Till my doubts are not cleared, continuously use the logic and remove the doubts. Anuchintanam. Yukti bihi anavaratam anuchintanam. Continuously think about this. This is called mananam. This you can apply to anything. Suppose I want to give up some addiction. I have to use this. How? In a simpler way, I can use this much part. If I want to get out of this cigarette smoking habit, then continuously I have to reflect upon the ill effects of cigarette smoking. If I continuously reflect upon that and I change my conviction, I will drop it. In Vedanta we say, think of the pleasure of the pain and pain of the pleasure. This if one does, the conditioning will change. If I think of the pleasure of the pain of not drinking, smoking, or not smoking the cigarette, I feel uncomfortable, there is a pain in it. But what is the joy of that? I will be out of that habit. And what is the pleasure of that? What is the pain of that pleasure? If I keep smoking, what is the pain? Lungs will go for a toss, family will go through disturbances, my health will be not proper, I will die soon, all that. If I reflect on the good aspect of the dropping of smoking and the limitations of smoking, the pain of it, slowly my intellectual conviction will change. But this has to happen with ensuring that cigarette is put aside. I am smoking and reflecting on the pain of cigarette. Then it will not work. I have to put it aside and then do this reflection. So this you can apply for many things. How to change the conviction. If I want to imbibe a value, let us say, calmness, and my mind says, no, anger is required. Anger is required, otherwise people will, take advantage of you. Now I need to reflect how love is more important and more transforming than anger. How anger disturbs my health, my body, my pressure, BP, everything. And how I can be assertive, but I don't have to be angry. Now, if I reflect on that slowly, the mind will change, the intellectual conviction will change. So that is what has to be done. So now we will stop here. We will take up Nididhyasan in the class tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.